Hello and welcome to 24/7 video blog. I'm Svetlana and I'll be your host today. Several months ago, my organization 24/7 introduced a new method of delivering information to victims of human trafficking, and specifically sex trafficking. We call the method primary contact getaways or contact points for short, as you can see. We believe it so strongly in the potential of the method, we patented the process through the United States Trademark and Patent Office. An army of volunteers came forward and we have placed the contact points in major transportation hubs throughout the globe. Thus far, we have scans as close as Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and as far away as Australia and parts of Europe. The distribution of the contact points is ongoing and we will continue to need volunteers to cover the world with them. Thank you so much for the overwhelming support we have received in the distribution of those contact points. In haste to get the contact points distributed, we did not take the time to fully explain the genesis of our idea to our volunteers. We overlooked explanation of the contact point capability or our abilities to use them in the fight against sex trafficking or any other form of human trafficking for that matter. We have received several emails and phone calls from many of you, all of which were asking the same questions. My hope here today is to explain everything and dispel any myths which may have arisen. First, I want to clarify the information received by a victim when the code is scanned is constantly being updated. We are regularly adding new translation, information, and other services. The codes not only help trafficking victims but also raise awareness. We are currently exploring the possibility of adding a way for the public to report potential trafficking tips to law enforcement. Since the inception of the project, we have consistently been asked whether trafficking victims would have a smartphone to scan the codes. Therefore, I will speak to my experience as a former victim. The only place I ever had privacy was the bathroom, and the only link I had to the outside world was the phone my trafficker made me carry so he could track me by the GPS. This virtually always allowed him to determine where I was or where I was going. My link to the outside world was also one of the chains keeping me with my trafficker. Knowing that many trafficking victims have smartphones because of the control it gives the trafficker, provided us with unique avenue to reach victims. It occurred to us victims are more frequently moved to the most lucrative markets. When a sex trafficking victim is moved from one place to another, she becomes more isolated. An isolated victim becomes more helpless and reliant on the trafficker. If they are moved from one location to another, where language and laws change, their ability to obtain life-saving help becomes nearly impossible. Getting to a victim before they become even more isolated and helpless is paramount. The isolation of a victim is a systematic way for a trafficker to control his victim. My experience taught me anything we could do to interrupt that isolation would be beneficial to the victim and disruptive to the trafficker. This was the beginning concept of the contact points. The problem 24/7 needs to solve in one simple statement was, what method do we use to deliver information to victims while they're in transit, and is there a place where victims would be most susceptible to receiving information? Governments and other organizations have produced mountains of information to help victims of sex trafficking. None of those entities have made effort to determine delivery methods. Posters and billboards are commonplace, but they are static with limited information. Posters and billboards tell victims to call the anti-trafficking hotline, but how does someone, especially someone under severe stress, remember that number? It is even more difficult to record that number if a victim's pimp or trafficker is present. Regardless of being able to see the number, what if the victim doesn't read and speak the language the poster is written in? In short, the governments might have greatest anti-trafficking rules ever written with the best care facilities ever funded, but if you can get that information on the trafficking victim, what good have you done? Considering method of information delivery is axiomatic to a victim's survival. The 24/7 contact points have several advantages. Utilizing the contact points, victims are provided with written legal and civic information. The victim can review it in their language in a semi-private way and semi-private place. Additionally, our contact point concepts allow the victim to call National Trafficking Hotline or other number depending upon the location in the world. We are sometimes asked, do trafficking victims have cell phones? The answer is yes, more than you would think. In fact, a study conducted by the Urban Institute found traffickers spend as much as 40% of their cost on a cellular phones for the girls. The preeminency of our concept was also important. We wanted something the girls could access which would stand the test of time. Posters and billboards change, disappear when the funding runs out. Considering possible harsh conditions the stickers might be exposed to, we developed our contact points as dynamic Class H QR codes with a modified version of our logo in the center. A Class H code can sustain up to 30% damage and still work. The dynamic aspect of the code allows us to observe the scan analytics in the background of the code. 24/7 ensures the contact points are printed on specialized vinyl designed to stand up to harsh conditions. The use of cleaning chemicals and outdoor weather conditions will not affect the performance of the code. To ensure it wasn't viewed as a random QR code, we designed it with wording around the edges. Each side says abuse, trick, coerced, forced, scan this in English, Romanian, Russian, and Spanish. Victims might not identify themselves as the victims, but that sentence should be enough to get them to think about their current situation and scan the code. Our codes, small enough to be discreet, the entire code is 1.75 inches, but large enough that inside a stall of a bathroom it would certainly be noticed. We have often been asked if a girl scanning a contact point could endanger her. There is risk when delivering any type of help program to a victim of trafficking. However, our codes are generally placed in places the traffickers do not go. For example, the stall of a female bathroom. We believe our method is equally as safe as the anti-trafficking number on a poster, which also available after scanning the code and can be dialed by the victim should they so choose. Scanning the code is a simple. Any smart device with a camera can scan the code. Contrary to the popular belief, you do not need a QR code reader on your device, just the camera. If it does not work on an Android phone, all that is needed is to activate QR scanning in your Android phone settings. Whenever someone scans the code, their phone provides analytics to us. We are able to see that type of device scanned the code, the location where the code was scanned within a couple of miles, the IP address of the device, and a few other items which might be useful in prosecuting anti-trafficking cases. For example, we might be able to prove when a victim is transited across the state lines or from one country to another. Our contact points project is ongoing. We are continuously expanding the information provided when the codes are scanned. Our goal is to have the rules of every country translated into the 20 most common languages. This will provide the opportunity to disseminate helpful life-saving information to millions of potential victims regardless of where they are trafficked or trafficked from. We are also in the process of adding other features to the code, such as a reporting form, which will allow the citizen to report suspect trafficking to the authorities, complete with the pictures and GPS location. We have done our utmost to ensure our dynamic method is more effective at delivering information that the alternatives anti-trafficking posters some places are required to post. Thank you for your support and your time, and as always, if you're interested in volunteering to distribute the contact points or would like to help translate anti-trafficking documents, please contact us. Our potential to save thousands of victims is only possible with your support. Thank you.